Boys, today we're going to be talking about my regional deck qualifier that I used to play. And I played Abyss, and I'm actually super excited because I think a lot of people are actually sleeping on Abyss. 'Cause I think Abyss is low-key like the third best deck in the format. Um, or not even low-key, I think high-key. I think a lot of people are just building it wrong and playing the deck suboptimally. So I'm going to talk about matchup in the end, but I'm going to get right into the deck profile. I'll tell you why this deck is good and why you should be on Abyss, actually, if you're not already on Dragon or Haven. Um, so I'll go over it. I've also want to say that this deck has been tested. I played in 4 regional qualifiers. I've topped 8 in every single one of them. I've not missed top 8. And I played in 1 championship, and I've also topped on that as well. It doesn't sound like a lot because it's a lot of locally, but there's 33-man locals, and everyone I've played in, so there's a lot of people, a lot of competition, even for a local scene. So that does show you that this deck has been tested, it has been really good, and has really good results. So we can get right into it. I play 1 Dire Bond. I think any more than 1 is really bad. You just want it for the ping ability, right? The draw is nice. Oh, I have a Force Leader in there. The draw is nice, but it's not that good. Like, it doesn't really come up. You just want it for ping so you can activate Sanguine. It's one of the draw cards. You play 3 Soul Conversion. I don't know why people aren't on 3 Soul Conversion. It is your draw card. It's a 1-mana draw, which is infinitely better. It's 1-mana draw 2, which is infinitely better than, what is it, Path to Purgatory? Especially for the way you want to play. Because if you have to path, you're doing nothing on turn 3, and you want to kill your opponent on turn 6, 7, right? So if you path, that's 1 turn you don't have a board presence, which means they don't have to respond to you. Or after they can make a board and they start doing stuff to you, and you have to be the reactive deck when you want to be the proactive deck. You want your opponent to be responding to you, right? So 3 Soul Conversion. Double Goblin. Goblin is there just for turn 1. Goblin does absolutely nothing after 1. It's just a bond. So you want just a 1-drop. You want to play as many 1-drops as possible to get your turn 1 play. Because turn 1, if you're going first, you Goblin or Skeleton or Ambling Wraith, they have to deal with it, and there's no way to deal with it on turn 1 unless they open Snipe. They can't Bellring or Evo kill it because turn 1. So having a body already on board is the most important. You want 1 body on board turn 1. If you're going first, going second, you still want the body, but it doesn't matter as much if they play Bellring on 1, because then they Evo the Bellring or ping it, and it doesn't matter. So going first, it matters a lot. Whoops. 3 Ambling Wraith, which are Sanguine starters, and also one of the better 1-drops, because it activates Sanguine, right? 2-1, decent body. The 1 health doesn't really come up, like, ever. Everything in this game usually has 2 attack anyway, right? So the 1 health doesn't matter unless you're playing against a rune. But overall, it's a good card. 3 Skeleton. Another 1-drop, but it becomes a 3/3 body. I can't tell you how many games I've played of where I wouldn't open, but I'd open some combination of like this, or draw into this on my, if I go second, I draw into this, and I Goblin. Notice I have this. That is 7. That's 7 damage on board. Turn 2, right? Like this is actually nuts. There's almost nothing in the game right now that deals with this on their turn 2. Or their turn 3, essentially, right? Because I'm going second. I said I opened this going second. What deals with this? You could Bellringer, either your Bellringer, pop this. That's still 5 damage. And also, if this was on turn 1, you already took the 2. So you already took the 2 already. So Bellringer doesn't deal with it. Haven has Scripture, but if they Scripture, okay, like Scripture this. These are both still on board. You have 1 mana left. What are you playing? Right? That's not an answer. There's nothing to answer a turn like this. So Skeleton's pretty nuts. Also, Skeleton also comes up with Dire Bond. You know, Dire Bond, Skeleton, 3/3 Skeleton, right? And Dire Bond also comes up because you can Dark General after on turn 6. So that's pretty good, right? Play 2 Spectre. Spectre is just there to clear the board. You want to realize it's not just to clear the board, it also activates Sanguine, since Sanguine starter. For Shenlongs, it's really important because you can go on 6, Spectre, Dark General, and then swing for game like that. because activate Sanguine while also clearing a ward. So it's pretty good. I think honestly you can play this at 3. I played at 2 because I want 5 forms removal, and I'll show you what the other 3 forms removal is in my deck. But Spectre is pretty good. So activate Sanguine, staple card Razor Claw. You want the burn. Activate Sanguine. If they have no ward, you Razor Claw, Dark General. That's 8 per game on 6. How I look at this deck, you want to end on 6 every time. All my games I played I guess 7 rounds if you want to call it top 8, or 8 rounds if you want to count top 8. Turning, I went perfect in Swiss, perfect in top 8, right? And it's literally because of this. On 6, you kill them on 8. You kill them if they're at 88 health, right? It's actually gross. Triple Lilith. Lilith's there for something to do on turn 2. I've realized a lot of people play Lilith, and the Force Bat does nothing. I actually found a way to use the Force Bat relatively well. So you want something to do on turn 2. She uses that body, and then when she evolves, she heals for 2, so it's pretty good. I actually prefer, what I actually run through as well, is Mummy. Mummy represents 4 damage on Evo, right? Does 3, summons the Ghost, which is 4. On turn 2 or 3, they have to respect it, right? This equals just more damage than Lilith. Lilith has the Force Bat, which is very useful, because you can actually get some very interesting plays with the bats. But not super interesting. You could Soul Conversion it and do another card I have in my deck. I play 2 Demonic Strikes, so you want 5 forms of burn. Because usually the game, you get game from them being at 3. So you want 5 different forms of burn. That's what I feel comfortable with. You can run more Demonic Strikes, but I think 2 is enough. I play 2 Warder Brodes, another form of clear, right? With this, you could, because Warder Raider, when it evos, it weasels for free, which is really nice. It's like a 3-mana execution. You could kill herself, because it doesn't specify another follower. You kill herself and clear a ward, right? You can do that, or you can, if you played Lilith previous turn, you move up the bat, same turn, you Warder Raider, kill an annoying target, and then swing with her to clear another thing. Then you still have Lilith here, and then you can swing for 2, right? So that's also really good. There's a lot of funny ways you can do that. Throw your Phantom out, it's literally 4 damage. Phantom Howl is literally a burn spell, because on turn 3, what ward are they going to have that's huge, right? And it's literally just 4 damage to face. It's usually just 4 damage to face, which adds up, right? Because you want to kill them at 8. 3 damage to... Your turn 1 is usually 2. Your turn 2 is usually maybe 3 if you're lucky. So that's already, what, 5? This is 4. 9, they're at 11. Turn 3, right? Playful Necromancer, it's a 4/4 body, so it can't get Priest, which matters. It's also a 4/4 body when it evos, so they can't get Dragon Ward. And it's 3 ghosts, right? They can't respond to the ghosts because usually nobody runs Barrage. Because Barrage is kind of like an alright card. You can break on Barrage. Like, what really is one help besides ghosts? And nobody's teching for Abyss, right? Everybody's worried about Dragon. Nobody runs Barrage. So the ghosts get actually max value, and this is a 4/4 body that nobody clears because they can't. Like, what do they have? Serpent Wrath? If they Serpent Wrath you, you're not really worried because that's 3 mana of their turn. What do they play next, right? They have 1 mana left if they're on 4. They have no response, right? You can play so many things for free. So this is nuts. 1 Execution. Execution comes up not as much as Wardrobe Raider, honestly. I think I might have watched it and might have just done this. But I was scared of Holy Sentinel. Because sometimes you need the execution for the Holy Sentinel because they start farming for Tigers and you still can kill them on 8. You could kill them on 8. So if you execution the Holy Sentinel, that means they can't make the War Tigers. And most people only play 2. So it does come up. But it's only 1 of, right? So maybe I botched it and maybe I should have went like this, which probably sounds better, but it's been working out for me. Play triple Cerberuses. That's like a staple, and then this card just wins you games. If you're not on 3 Dark General, you're losing. This card has won me, I think, like 70% of my matches, genuinely. The card's nuts. So I'm going to talk about why I built my deck in this specific way and why I think I heard Burn One say they prefer the mid range. I think that's wrong. Because if you're playing mid range, you don't out mid range Haven. You lose in that matchup because Haven just has a superior mid range game to you. You're not out mid ranging Dragon because like that's just not possible. And then mid range Sword is kind of better as well, right? Like they have the ward and Kit's annoying. So what is your option when you're playing the Abyss? You just have to be faster. That's why I play nothing, no ally cards, nothing above 4. You want to kill them on 6, and I've consistently done doing that. That's why in all of the tournaments I've played in 5 tournaments with top 8s. I've topped in all of them, and I've also went perfect in Swiss because my deck is just built to be faster than everything else. I'll kill Dragon on 6. I'll kill Haven on 6. I kill Sword in the Sword Mirror, or not Sword Mirror, in the Sword Abyss. My deck is built to be faster if they're playing mid range, and if they're not. Usually, if I go first, they're worried about clearing my board, and I'm not worried about clearing theirs. I will purposely ignore their board because they're trading it to me, right? So I have the advantage on aggression, right? So I think this is nuts. The Evo deck is pretty self-explanatory. Double play for Necromancer, double Cerberus, double Wardrobe Raider, double Lilith, and then double Mummy. I think it's like very standard. I don't think you should change this. 2/2, it works. Right? So I'm going to go through some deck philosophy on my thoughts on why you run certain things at copies. So you have what? This is 9? 9 Sanguine starters in the deck for Dark General. Everything comes back to Dark General. I'm going to be honest. It just all comes back to Dark General. You want 9 Sanguine starters for Dark General. So if you do have open Dark General, you go one of these on 6, or one of these on 5. You open like one of these, right? And then you go for a game from there, right? You want 5 forms of removal because Shenlong is annoying, like honestly, right? Like you have limited ways to get around Shenlong, and Dark General is the way I go for game, right? So you want 5 forms of removal. Which is, well, where'd I put my Spectres? Oh, Spectres is also here. Dual purpose card. Right? You have 5 forms of removal, which you will see one in a game. I promise you will see one. Like sometimes I see 2 and I'm like very upset. I run 5 because I only want to see 1. But you will guarantee to see 1. Right? The ratio is too high for you not to see at least 1. I think at one point I ran 6 forms of removal, and that was too many because I saw 2 of them too consistently. So 5 is a good number on forms of removal. Then you have forms of burn because you want the game to end, right? I see you have 7 burn cards, and all these cards are multifunctional, right? So they work with other things. Like this is a burn, but it also works with Dark General for Sanguine, right? So it helps, right? It also stacks. Then you have your 1-drops and your draw cards, which you do want to play draw cards, right? I'm gonna go over some matchups and cards and ideas you'll need to know, and how I play the deck. So when you play against a Dragon player, you need to see a 1-drop, right? I know sometimes I've opened hands that were like just nuts. Like, I mean, absolutely nuts. Like, I opened like this. This loses you the game. This hand like this, even though like it looks like the craziest hand possible. Like, if I'm going second, I'm gonna cook up. No. This hand is bad. You could open essentially whatever, honestly, as long as you have a 1-drop. I keep whatever. As long as I have 1-drop that is a body, like a goblin, skeleton, ambler, whatever, I keep the hand. Hands like this is unplayable because you want to do at least 2 damage turn 1. Well, they have like no opportunity to respond, right? And in this dragon, as soon as they hit the Shenlong turn, if you don't have this for game, you can't kill them. So you want to have something like this, or something like with a 1-drop. So this hand is bad. So keep that in mind. always open one drop. No matter what you're doing, no matter how good your hand looks on paper, you want the one drop. I promise you, you're not going to win that game because you didn't do that 2 damage. 2 damage actually matters. It matters so much, I promise you. So you want to at least open up one drop, and then you want to check your opponent, right? If I'm playing against Dragon, sometimes I will purposely evolve this with a point and leave it untapped to check if they have Dragon Warrior, right? Because if I had to, if they're on Evo points, I play this on 3, I evolve it, and I leave it there. They look at it, and I look at their hand, and their best clear is Dragon Warrior. If they don't have Dragon Warrior, that gives me a lot of information. That means that's one less card in their hand that I know is not the burst clear. If they clear it also in a weird way, if they have to use like 2 cards or 2 Blazing Breaths or whatever to clear it, which is also suboptimal, you know they don't have Dragon Warrior, right? You just want to limit cards that your opponent can have, right, in their hand. Make it so that, okay, they've used 2 Blazing Breaths, it's very unlikely they have 1 more in hand type thing, right? Play your deck by odds. Check with your opponent and see if they have it. If they don't have the best form of clear, that means next turn, if I play this on 3, they didn't clear it with Dragon Warrior, or they have to do some weird clear, that means I know they don't have Dragon Warrior. I can play Cerberus and grade out Cerberus on 4, get the Coco, and then go for a game like that, right? And then I double burn them for some game. Like, sometimes games end like this, right? Like 6 damage per game. Things like that, right? You want to check your opponent and see what they have. Like, against a lot of the Haven players I played against, I check if they have Pope. If they don't have Pope, that gives me so much information. I can just go wild, right? I can go whatever until they hit 5 and I'm scared to creep, right? And they probably have to clear. I think they clear with Gene. A lot of my things are 3/3. It does come up like this doesn't stay on the board, so they could Gene, then what happens, right? Like you Gene my 1 card that's on the board, okay, have fun, right? Things like that. You just want to check and read your opponent to see what cards they have in their hand, because usually your deck is so fast. If you're predicting what they have and their best possible out, you'll win the game just like that. So I think this list is solid. I've tested it. I think this is the best form of Abyss you could get. That's my opinion, obviously. But this is my regional qualifier list. I will tell you also before I end the video the rates on my matches, because I played a lot of games with this deck. I think you have a 60-40 against Dragon, which does sound high, but sometimes you just lose. Not to the Shenlong. I promise you don't lose to Shenlong. But to other factors, like sometimes you brick. Like if you don't hit Dark General is like a key integral part of winning that game. Or if you don't hit Razor Claw for some weird reason, you'll also lose. If they have Bellringer plus Dragon Warrior, that's also a very hard game to win. Like that's why it's a 60-40, and honestly I think it's probably a 55-45. Like you're still favored, I think. But it's hard. Haven is I would say a 50-50 against a good Haven player. I think I've cooked every single, all-right mid-range, all-right Haven player. But a good Haven player, they're favored. I think it's 60-40 their favor. Even though I've not lost to that many Haven players, but I've played a lot against my friend, and my friend's absolutely nuts. So I think it's like a 60-40 in the Haven player's favor. So that's one matchup that's kind of rough. But if you're playing into a lot of mid people, you'll probably cook them with this deck. They probably don't know how to respond correctly to that much aggression and clear at most effectively. So that's a matchup. You will be toward, I think I haven't lost to a sword player, not once with this deck, because your deck is just faster, right? Mid-range aggro doesn't matter. Your deck is just so much faster because you kill them on 6 that they don't know what to do. I'll be honest. That is what it is. They're worried about clearing your board, and you're about killing them, right? And you have burn spells, so they don't know what's in your hand, and you could just do 6 damage to them, essentially, because they don't have heal. So I haven't lost a single game to a sword player, and I also have not lost a game to a forest player as well. So I'm also perfect in that. I have only played 2 forest players, and I think I've played 7 sword players. Majority of my matches are Haven and Dragon. And I think if you want my personal numbers, it's probably a 70-30 in both those matchups. But I'm referring to good players. That's why I said it's that. Those are the odds. So yeah. Forest, you should be favored. I I think it's worth probably closer to 50-50 if they're good. Because they have Elven May Child, and they have like a bunch of other weird outs to clear it. So that is why I think it's like a 50-50. And then Rune is unwinnable. I promise you, this deck loses to Rune because they have every spell in the book. Like, they have so many spells to clear your little one-drop guys that it's almost impossible to win. That's why I'm very glad it's not a Rune meta. It's more of a Dragon meta. You have very good games against Dragon, very good times against Dragon and Haven. So that is it for my ratios and my win rates with this deck. I think this deck is really solid. I think you should be on this list if you're playing Abyss in any competitive environment. And I'm very happy I got my regional qualifier with this deck. I was very close switching to Dragon because I was getting tired of going perfect and then losing in top 8. So I hope you guys have a good day. I hope you guys learned a little bit about deck building and my theories on Abyss. You guys have a nice day, and peace.